Today's WNEM TV5 Evening Extra is brought to you by the Law Office of Carol Thomas.
Their season over and their coach gone. Valley Lutheran's varsity boys basketball season has been cut short after their head coach resigned following complaints from parents.
Thanks for tuning in to WNEM Evening Extra. TV5's James Felton lays out why, even though the school found no violation, the coach felt it was best to step down.
A TV5 viewer who disagrees with Valley Lutheran's decision to cancel the remainder of the boys' varsity basketball season sent us the correspondence from the school's executive director to parents on February 16th. It included a resignation letter from head coach John Mueller. He stated in part that after much prayer and conversation, it has become clear that no resolution can be found between myself and the current players. Due to these irreconcilable differences, it is clear that the current players and I will be unable to move forward together. In that same correspondence, the executive director said some parents made complaints to the school about his coaching style. The executive director stated that after taking an extensive look into the complaints, no behavior beyond reasonable varsity coaching was found. The executive director went on to say that he acknowledges several players on the team felt hurt by the comments and tone used during practice and games. The executive director also said that school administrators could have taken quicker action to bring players, parents, and Mueller together to address concerns and reach an understanding. The correspondence also states that the term emotional abuse was brought up during a parent-requested meeting on February 12th. The school found no evidence of that, but would continue to do its due diligence in response to those concerns. In explaining the reason for canceling the rest of the season, the executive director told parents that the school stood in support of its coach and recognizes the conflict cannot be resolved within the short time left in the season, so it's made the difficult decision to bring it to a close. The executive director concluded by saying he knows the decision will be difficult for the student athletes, but he has a responsibility to protect the unity and integrity of our school. The executive director declined my request for an on-camera interview. He did provide us with a statement that you can view on our website, WNEM.com. James Felton, WNEM TV5.
We did ask the school's executive director why the basketball season could not continue with an assistant coach. We're still waiting on a response.
And the radar tonight shows that there's plenty of wet weather around us, but not much of it is actually moving through mid-Michigan, at least for the time being. However, at times tonight and into the weekend, we do expect that to change. Do expect after any rain and snow mix this evening that it will be primarily snow through the weekend. And because of the persistence both days, even though it won't be snowing the entire time, we think the occasional snow showers that just keep repeating through the area will have a chance to bring some minor accumulation. As far as the hour-by-hour forecast goes in the near term, you can see some scattered snow showers are possible right through the evening. Some of that will continue overnight as well, and then it will continue into Sunday at times before winding down into Monday. A look at downtown Saginaw tonight shows that any accumulation we pick up this weekend will be brand new accumulation considering how much snow we've melted today. Another warmer than average day this afternoon. Current temperatures this evening right around the middle 30s for most of the area. We do expect winds to remain pretty strong through the first part of tonight, anywhere between about 15 and 25 miles per hour at times. A wind advisory remains in place for our southern counties. That goes until 9 o'clock, where gusts could be up to about 45 miles per hour or so. Your forecast for the rest of the weekend, including snowfall totals, coming up.
Thank you, Chris. Still unfolding. 4 injured after a drive-by shooting in Flint last night. And police urge anyone with information to come forward. Investigators say it happened around 9 on Edwards Avenue between Mott and Ridgeway. The police chief tells us all 4, 3 men and 1 woman, were listed in good condition. He adds there's no suspect information at this time. Stay with TV5 for updates.
Police in Flint investigating another shooting from last night that left a man in critical condition. Officers say the shooting happened at the Richard Manor on East Court Street. No one is in custody. If you have any information, you're urged to call police or Crime Stoppers.
Monday's sentencing for Mike Bacigalupo is now canceled. Instead, the judge and attorneys will meet for a status conference. The former director of Bay City State Theater pleaded guilty to wire fraud in a scheme that sent the theater into bankruptcy. The claims revolved around 2 large loans he secured for the theater. That money was instead spent on a project in nearby Winona Park. At this time, no date has been scheduled for sentencing. Wire fraud is a felony that carries a maximum sentence of 20 years.
More local news. Tomorrow in Midland, you can celebrate the Lunar New Year. The event will showcase how cultures around the world mark the first new moon of the year. The 4th annual Lunar New Year event shows the diversity of the Great Lakes Bay region and includes performances, exhibits, vendors, and food from multiple cultures. Tomorrow's celebration is from 2 to 6 at the Greater Midland Community Center.
As the rebuilt dams near completion, the Four Lakes Task Force is hosting another webinar to go over where things stand. On March 4th, the task force will explain the second series of bonds scheduled to be issued in May and what property owners should expect for the Sanford Lake refill, which is scheduled to start April 15th. That webinar is scheduled from 5 to 7.
This weekend, you can get help making your house feel like a home. The Caring Closet in Saginaw is hosting House to Home, providing free household items and decor. The nonprofit is for families transitioning into stable housing. You can also help someone in the community by donating. Reach out to the email at the bottom of your screen if you'd like to donate any household items. Tomorrow's event is from 9 to 11 at the Community Caring Closet on Mackinac Road.
Across Michigan, if you use DTE Energy, expect another rate hike soon. That's because state regulators just approved another increase. The Michigan Public Service Commission signed off on an additional $242 million a year, but that's less than half of what DTE originally asked for. The company wanted $574 million and an 11% rate increase for residential customers. It comes on the heels of last year's rate hike, and Attorney General Dana Nessel is not happy about it. She says she fought to bring the increase down to 2.5%. In a statement, she says reliability and affordability should be a priority. Yet time and time again, we see proposals from DTE and Consumers Energy that emphasize costly capital projects over common sense investments that more directly reduce outages and improve services. DTE sees it differently. The company's president says the investments are already paying off. In a statement, Matt Paul says today's order from the Michigan Public Service Commission supports continued investments that are already delivering results, saying 2025 was the most reliable year for DTE electric customers in almost 2 decades. At the same time, we remain focused on keeping bills as low as possible for our customers. That rate hike will go into effect on March 5th. It's expected to add nearly $5 to an average bill.
An inside look at a redevelopment project years in the making.
After the break, we're taking you to Bay City to see how millions in state investment are transforming old, contaminated industrial sites into new housing.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long.
President Donald Trump calls today's Supreme Court decision deeply disappointing after it rejected his justification for instituting sweeping tariffs.
Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in the majority opinion that Trump needs authorization from Congress to exercise those tariffs, a striking decision from the conservative court that made this 6-3 ruling.
So this is really a big win for businesses, particularly those small businesses, those mom and pop businesses, those mid-sized businesses, and for the American consumer.
That includes one business in Saginaw that calls today's ruling a relief. But now he wants relief from what he says his business has already paid.
The president of Hayes Specialties Corporation in Saginaw tells TV5's James Felton he's spent hundreds of thousands of dollars because of those tariffs, and now he wants to get that money back.
It's going to be a relief, I think, for a lot of people, and especially small companies like us that have been crippled by the tariffs.
Jim Hayes Jr. is thrilled with the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that struck down new tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump in 2025. Hayes is the president of Hayes Specialties Corporation in Saginaw. He tells me while he tries to buy American as much as he can, a lot of his products are from overseas. He says sales dropped 15% in 2025 because he had to raise prices to help offset the cost of the tariffs.
We had to raise prices about 6% or 6 cents on the dollar for every 10% in tariffs.
Hayes says he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional money last year to stock his shelves and fill orders for customers. And now he says the federal government needs to give that money back.
The beauty of today's decision was that it was not conservative or liberal. It wasn't Republican or Democrat. It was a majority of the Supreme Court with the conservative and the liberal justices determining that these tariffs were illegal. And therefore, we are expecting a refund on the very large amount of money we have paid because of what has been determined to be illegal.
Hayes Jr. says he's working on plans to lower prices and offer refunds to customers who paid higher prices for his products when the new tariffs were in place. Just hours after the ruling, President Trump said he's enacting a 10% global tariff under a trade law. Those tariffs can only be in place for 150 days unless Congress were to vote to extend them.
This has been a long time coming. I think people are excited, right? North Peak coming in. It's great to see this kind of project move forward, happening for our community.
Building in bloom in Bay City. Today, officials with the State Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy toured the sites that will become the new Water Street Lofts, North Peak Brewing Company, and Kilkenny's Irish Public House. The revitalization is supported by Eagle's Brownfield Redevelopment Program and local investment. The department's director says the once contaminated sites will be transformed into vibrant spaces for residents, businesses, and visitors.
De-risk the development. So then attracts private investment. And then here you have something like this North Peak here, which I am confident will be a magnet in the community. And it can be really transformative as you have a development area or a downtown area like Bay City's that has such good bones.
Following the tour, leaders met for a roundtable at City Hall to discuss proposed legislation to raise brownfield grant and loan caps, which will help communities more easily access funding for redevelopment projects. At this time, there's no set opening date for North Peak Brewing or Kilkenny's Irish Public House.
And as we head into the weekend, while temperatures will still be above freezing at times, we do expect most of the wet weather that we see to be just scattered snow showers. And it doesn't seem like there's a ton of difference between the 2 days. We'll likely see scattered snow showers on and off both days this weekend. Winds will be primarily from the north and west, and that will lead us into cooler temperatures going into next week. A look outside tonight as we look at US 10 shows everything is moving as you would expect this evening. There's no major issues as far as any accumulation on the roads or anything like that. And for the time being, it seems like most of the precipitation and wet weather as of about 6:48 is around us and not actually moving through the area. In the near term, we still have this wind advisory in place until 9 o'clock. Wind gusts could be up to about 45 miles per hour or so. You can see that on the hour by hour here when it comes to the winds, but we'll likely drop below that pretty quickly after we get past 9 o'clock, and then even more so overnight and into the first half of your Saturday. Here's the radar right here. You can see what I mean. Some snow showers starting to move back into areas like Houghton Lake or at least nearby. Some of this will circle back around later tonight and eventually dip southward into the TV5 viewing area once again. And then once it does, we'll just have continued snow showers at times through the weekend. What we are watching for is an area of snow that doesn't happen tonight, but you can see some of these scattered snow showers come through as we go through the day Saturday. There's likely going to be a band of snow that sets up in northern lower Michigan. You can see some of the northeasterly winds meeting the area of northwesterly winds. And what we have happening there is a collision between those two areas of wind, at least to what we call a convergence zone, which forces rising motion. So that forces the snow showers to develop. There is some question as to just how far north or south exactly that band will be, but I think our northern counties will have the best chance for more persistent snow relative to areas off to the south. And then we'll have some occasional snow showers pass through Saturday evening, also into the day on Sunday, and we'll pick up probably some minor accumulations through the weekend. So here's what the snowfall map looks like. 1 to 4 inches are possible both days as we head towards the weekend. So both Saturday and Sunday combined, about 1 to 4 inches. And then we have a trace to 3 inches the further south, and that seems like a really broad range. But because of the scattered coverage, we'll likely have areas that don't see much, or we'll have areas that pick up perhaps a couple of inches. I think 3 is more of an outlier, just in case we get some stronger bands that develop. I think that's more of the exception. Your lows tonight will be primarily in the upper 20s to low 30s. Tomorrow, I think we're primarily in the middle to upper 30s. As we head towards the 7-day forecast, we will cool off into Sunday a little bit, even more so Monday and Tuesday, and then we're right back up to the mid-30s on Wednesday with some upper 30s on Friday.
Thank you, Chris. The Huron County Sheriff's Office is reminding fishermen that no ice can be trusted following the rescue of a Caro man this morning. At 8:30, the man called 911 after he broke through the ice on his four-wheeler about 1.5 miles offshore of Rose Island in Fairhaven Township. The water wasn't very deep and he wasn't hurt, but he could not get out because the ice wouldn't support him. Firemen and the deputies used an airboat to rescue the man who was experiencing mild hypothermia symptoms.
A reward is now offered in the case of a missing Pinconning woman. She's right there on your screen. Bay County Crime Stoppers is offering up to $2,500 for information that leads to Candy Clem. Her family hasn't seen her since December 8th. The 36-year-old is 4'9", about 90 pounds, natural blonde hair with glasses, and her left ear is damaged. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers.
The State House has passed 2 bills that could help people paying for dam repairs in Midland and Gladwin counties. The legislation would reinstate Michigan's Special Assessment Deferment Program, offering relief to qualified seniors, disabled people, and those on fixed incomes. One of the sponsors, Republican Mike Hoadley of Au Gray, says the millions in assessments being paid by affected property owners highlights the need for this legislation. The deferred assessments would be paid when a property was sold or transferred or after the owner died. The program lapsed in 2020, the year the dams failed. The 2 bills passed Thursday, each on votes of 98 to 10. They now head to the Senate.
Scammers are targeting our area with a fake emergency story, and it's already swindled one victim out of thousands of dollars. The Tuscola County Sheriff's Office says it begins as a phone call from a fake police officer stating that your daughter was in a crash and injured a pregnant woman. Investigators say 2 people were targeted by this scam in the last week, with one victim losing $15,000. The Sheriff's Office wants you to know no police will ever call you asking for money like this, or come to your home and ask you to put money in an unmarked box. If you get a call like this, do not provide any money or credit card information. Instead, call police.
All new tonight, it was the first utensil ever made, and now it's telling the story of our nation. Discover the spoon lucky collector who is preserving everything one piece of silver at a time. On the news at 10 on the Great Lakes Sports and Entertainment Network.
Then on TV5 News at 11, transportation officials plan to, quote, crack down on bad actors on the roads. Find out how.
Also at 11, the regular season is winding down in high school basketball. How things are shaping up in Fast Break Friday. And if you want to hear more about the weather, head on over to our digital live stream at 9 o'clock tonight. You can join that stream at WNEM.com with Chris on the TV5 YouTube and Facebook pages, on our Roku and Fire Stick channels, and on the TV5 News app. Thanks for watching WNEM Evening Extra. Of course, keep up with us as the news breaks online on our app or on social media.
We'll see you on TV5 at 11.